Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kara, and today's video is going to be my March housing market update. I have a lot of information to cover today, everything from what home prices are going to do going forward, mortgage rates being unstable, inventory being up, but the number of listings being down, and a lot of other statistics. As always, I'm going to be breaking up this video into a few different sections, those being price, inventory, mortgages, local news, and other news. Now, really quick before I dive into those statistics, I just want to share a personal achievement of mine. So this week I officially received my production award for last year. So as you can see, I received the Century 21 Masters Ruby Award, and this is a production award for all of the homes that I sold last year. And I actually ended up being the top producer in my office here in Asheville. So I'm super proud of this. Definitely could not have done this without the help of all of my buyers and sellers last year. So if that was you, thank you so much. And I actually also received a second award, which is the Quality Service Award. So this is another Century 21 award, and this is for all of the 5-star reviews that I received last year as well. So thank you so much to anyone out there who left me a review or used me as their realtor last year. I really greatly appreciate it, and I'm so happy with how last year turned out, and I'm really looking forward to a great 2023 as well. All right, let's dive into those statistics. Let's start out with price on a national level. The median list price for homes in February was $415,000, which is up from $406,000 from January. This is down from a record high of $449,000 last June. As you can see in this chart, it's really common for list prices to increase during the first half of any given year, but it'll be interesting to see what happens as the year goes on. In terms of national sale prices, they posted their first annual decline in over a decade. Don't get too excited though, the decrease was only 0.6% when we compare February of this year to February of last year. In terms of predictions and projections for what home prices are going to do going forward, as I've mentioned in a lot of my videos in the past, these should really be taken with a grain of salt. But the most recent prediction that I saw mentioned that home prices will likely fall by 1.6% annually by December because of affordability concerns. However, this same prediction mentioned that home prices will start to increase again in 2024 by roughly 3.5% annually going through 2027. Now, of course, the farther we get out with projections, the less likely they're going to be true. Even the projections for 1 year or even a few months tend to be wrong. So when we start projecting out to 2027, not really sure how much credibility we can give that, but I did think it was worth sharing. One last statistic on price is that the typical monthly payment is now over $2,500. This is the highest monthly payment on record and up 29% from a year ago. Let's move on to price on a local level. The average sale price for the Asheville region is up to over $472,000. This is a 10.3% increase year over year. When we look at the median sale price for the Asheville region, this is up to $400,000, which is a 14.3% increase from last year. So as you can see, even though prices may be declining in certain areas around the country, in Asheville, prices are continuing to increase, at least on an annual basis. Moving on to inventory on a national level. Interestingly, fewer homes are being listed on the market, however, inventory is still increasing. Now, why would that be? Well, for starters, the reason that people are not listing their homes currently is because mortgage rates are quite high. And a lot of people that purchased a home in the past year or two likely locked in a really good interest rate, possibly in the 2s, but most likely in the 3s or even 4s. Because of that, homeowners aren't really too eager to sell their homes and jump into a higher interest rate. In terms of why we're seeing inventory increasing, while we're not really seeing more homes coming on the market, The reason for that is because homes are actually sitting on the market for longer. So over the past couple years, you probably know there were frequently times where homes would fly off the market in 24 hours with 10 plus offers, but nowadays that's not really common. I have seen that a couple times if there's a really, really popular property with, let's say, a mountain view, close to town, completely move-in ready with land, etc. If there is a really prime piece of property, you might still see that, but in general, homes are sitting on the market for significantly longer. I do think it's important to note here that despite the lengthening time on the market, homes are still sitting on the market for less time than they were pre-COVID. Let's move now to inventory on a local level. New listings for the Asheville region are down 23.3% year over year. Interestingly, in 2022, new listings increased between January and February, but in 2023, new listings declined between January and February. Inventory, on the other hand, is actually up 19% year over year. As I said earlier, this is because there are fewer new listings hitting the market, but the homes that are on the market are tending to sit for longer. It's important to note, though, that on a month-to-month basis, inventory is actually down. Let's move on to mortgage news. I feel like mortgages have been a really big topic lately in my videos, but also on the news in general. Mortgage rates actually rose to 7%, but ever since the Silicon Valley Bank failure, they have actually dropped to an average of 6.57%. It's predicted that mortgage rates will stay high for the time being, but they'll likely start to decline as we go throughout the year. It's possible that we'll see interest rates in the 5s during the latter half of 2023, and even possibly in the upper 4s in 2024. Something that I mentioned in my last housing market update video that I think is really important to keep in mind and worth mentioning again in this video is that you should really marry the house and date the rate. In other words, if you find a home that is absolutely perfect for you and everything you've been looking for, don't wait for mortgage rates to decline in order to jump on that property or start your home search. Now, of course, don't get in over your head and pay for a monthly payment that you're unable to pay for or don't feel comfortable paying. That's really not what I'm saying. But if you have the capability to pay for a home with these higher interest rates, knowing that a lot of the predictions and projections are saying that they'll decline in the coming years, that should give you a little bit of peace of mind, knowing that you'll likely be able to refinance for a lower rate down the road. Something else to keep in mind here is that there are so many buyers waiting on the sidelines right now, which is a big reason why demand has declined. However, when interest rates start to decline and maybe we get in the 5s or possibly 4s again, what do you think's going to happen? Well, all those people waiting on the sidelines that didn't want to pay that 6 or 7% interest rate, they're going to all flood the market and competition is going to increase again. All right, let's move on to some local news. Something huge that I heard in the news lately is that the Canton paper mill is actually going to be closing later this year. If you're not familiar with what this is, it's a paper mill in the town of Canton. That's probably pretty self-explanatory, but it does impact home prices in that area. So home prices in Canton tend to be a bit lower because of people that don't want to deal with the paper mill smell. Now, the paper mill closing will definitely have an interesting effect on the local economy, as the paper mill is actually the largest employer in Haywood County. My personal opinion on this topic is that overall it will be a benefit for the community, as it will likely lead to property value increases years down the road, and those people that own homes in Canton will have more equity in their properties. I know this is probably a bit of a controversial topic though, so if you do have opinions on this, feel free to share them in the comments below. Moving on now to the final section, which is other news. Unfortunately, first-time home buyers only made up 26% of the market last year. This is an all-time low. Historically, first-time home buyers make up around 40% of the market. At the same time, the age of first-time home buyers rose to a record high of 36. Now, I myself, being 31, going to be 32 this year, I personally have not actually owned a home myself, and I know plenty of people at my age or in their mid-30s or even later 30s who still have not owned a home. So this particular statistic is not particularly surprising to me. However, I do think that it's really interesting and a bit sad, if I'm being honest. People are currently moving on average every 12.6 years. This is actually double what it was in 2006, where it was right around 6.5 years. In terms of the reasoning behind this, I'm not 100% sure. Of course, home prices have increased, but so has the amount of equity that someone has in a home. And also, mortgage rates nowadays aren't really much higher or higher at all than they were back then. If you have any more insight on this statistic, I'd love to know about it, so feel free to leave me a comment on that as well. In terms of home buyer demand, it is actually down 27% year over year, but it's still not as low as pre-pandemic levels. When you look at the year we had in 2022 and also 2021, and you see, wow, demand has dropped 27%, that's huge, it must be so low. And compared to those years, it is low. But when we compare it to pre-pandemic levels and see, demand is still above where it was then, it kind of puts things into perspective and makes us realize that the market is still actually stronger than it was a few years ago. 45.5% of home sellers have offered concessions by the end of February. So what are concessions? So this can be anything from helping with repair costs, providing money towards the buyer's closing costs, or even helping with buying down the rate. This 45.5% number is actually 14.4% higher than last year. So what this means to me is that we are starting to enter into a little bit more of a balanced market. We are definitely still in a seller's market here in Asheville, but we are at least heading towards that direction of being a little bit more balanced with sellers and buyers. All right, everyone. Well, that is everything that I have for today's housing market update video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Also, if you don't already have a copy of my free home buyer guide and you would like one, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll leave my contact info in the description box below, as well as at the end of this video. If you are a homeowner and are considering selling your property and would like a free comparative market analysis done on your home, definitely feel free to reach out to me as well. I would love to hear from you, and also don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, share this video with your family and friends, and I will see you very soon in the next one.